So welcome one and all to our online grants workshop covering the Youth in the Humanities grant. Our first workshop focused on this grant. The second one will be on February 23rd. Covering the same material as well, but that'll be another opportunity to ask questions and share ideas with us, in addition to the office hours and the email opportunities. We'll share the slide deck as well through the email address that you shared with us via Eventbrite. And if you happen to join us outside of Eventbrite, so if you got the link from someone, so we wouldn't have your email address, please enter in your email address with your name in the chat box. So let us go ahead and begin with the basic outline. So we're going to start with introductions of ourselves and yourselves. The purpose of this workshop, a little bit about Humanities DC, important information you need to know about the Youth in the Humanities Grant Program, important information regarding the application itself, and then some Q&A and ideas sharing. Okay, so the purpose of this workshop is to be able to provide more details regarding this grant program and the application content than we did with the overview workshop. Some of you may have attended those. So we're going a bit more in depth here. Plus, we're giving you more time to ask questions and share your ideas. This is a forum for you to feel comfortable in that regard. And even if you have an inkling of idea, we'd love to hear it. Now, this workshop doesn't touch every single piece of information there is to know about this grant program or its application, so it's not like 100% comprehensive, but you'll get a good sense of what we're looking for from a grantee. So let's start with the introductions. I will start, and then we'll go around the virtual room and have everyone share their name and organizational affiliation. So I'll start with myself. I'm Eli Youssef, Grants Manager with Humanities DC. I've been with the organization since April of last year. I manage, part of the grants portfolio and the day-to-day point of contact for grantees and grant-related questions. Application questions, all of that stuff. And you can reach me through email. We'll have my email address listed later on in this presentation. And so I'd like to pass it over to Loie.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lloyd Amar, the Director of Grant Making and Programs at Humanities DC. Thanks for joining us. And we appreciate your interest in this new grant opportunity for us. We're really excited to see how it resonates with the community. So once again, thanks for joining.
And Hillary, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Hillary Steen. I'm the other Community Grants Manager at Humanities DC. This is my third week, so learning alongside all of you, but I hope to work with all of you in the future. Thanks for coming.
All right. I will then just, let's start seeing the room. Janelle.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Janelle Legg. I'm a faculty member and project manager at the Shookman Deaf Documentary Center at Gallaudet University. And we're just interested in learning more about what this program does in terms of K-12 education, specifically because we do some digital humanities work, and we're interested in seeing what we can do to sort of bridge that sort of digital history, digital humanities work to deaf students or hearing students specifically. Thanks.
Thank you, Janelle. Erin?
Hi, this is Erin Roth. Sorry, trying to start my video. There we go. I am the Director of Development at the Story of Our Schools. And we have never had my position before. We've never really had many people on staff before. So I am trying to learn as much as I can about the grants landscape for humanities projects in DC to hopefully help support the work we do doing school history with DC public schools throughout the district.
Erin, what was your organization again?
The Story of Our Schools.
Huh.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Dee?
Dee just introduced herself in the chat, Development and Marketing Manager with the Prevention of Blindness Society of Metropolitan Washington.
Thank you, Lori. I'm not looking at the chat.
No, I'll take the chat for you.
No problem. Kendall?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kendall Bryan. I am the executive director of the Amy Sharks Garvey Institute. Oh, my video is acting funny, so I'll just continue with audio. We're a nonprofit here in Ward 7. We work with young people to provide with them an opportunity for advanced youth development and workforce development. We're interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary with our fields of study, including comparative ethics, poetry, liturgic dance, also some videography, photography as well. But our main focus is to serve youth from underserved areas of Washington, D.C. here in the Easter River community. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. Emma?
Emma Moores. I'm the Deputy Director for the Washington Chorus. And we're a volunteer chorus, about 185 singers in the DC area. We primarily perform at Kennedy Center and other places around DC. And we have a new program this year called DMV Sings that I'm here to get more information about to see if that might be a good fit for Humanities DC.
Perfect, thank you. And did I hit Tracy? Tracy, did you already go?
Good evening. This is Tracy Billingsley. I am with Sisters in the Community, and we have started to develop a curriculum specific for youth right now, just for young ladies. But I was on the call yesterday, and I'm an educator by trade, a faculty member at UDC, but that's separate from what I'm doing with Sisters in the Community.
Thank you, Tracy. And finally, iPhone 10.
That might be me, Kimberly Collins. I'm the executive director and founder of SOAR, So Others Ascend Righteously. We conduct writing for healing workshops and retreats, specifically focused on young women who are aging out of foster care, who are returning citizens, and who are part of youth training, youth and job training programs. So after they go through our 6-week program, we endeavor to link them with mother mentors. So we are here just to hear how this grant might be able to assist us in our work.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who was able to share a little bit about yourselves.
Did Lynette want to go?
Oh, did Lynette go? Oh, Lynette, sorry, it came in later. Sorry, Lynette.
Good evening. Yes, I was late. I was working, lost track of time, excuse me. But my name is Lynette Preston. I am the operations manager at FH Fauntleroy. We focus on workforce development on multi-generational levels. We work on both essential and oh, my brain just froze. Technical skills. Thank you. Sorry. To focus on unique and not so visited their areas of workforce development.
Thank you, Lynette. Appreciate that. And again, thank you to everyone who was able to share a little bit about yourself, the organizations you work for, and we'll have time at the end for you to share, again, your project ideas and any questions you have about this grant. Okay, but first, a little bit about Humanities DC. We are officially affiliated with the National Endowment for the Humanities as an affiliate organization, just like the Humanities Councils in every other state and territory in our country. But we are legally an independent 501c3. Our mission is to help all Washingtonians and others connected to the district deepen their relationships with the city and each other through the sharing of unique and universal stories, the fostering of intellectual stimulation, and the promotion of cross-cultural understanding. And to bring this mission to life, we engage in grant making, investing in local scholars, experts, organizations, and partnership-based public programming. So part of that grant making includes the Youth in the Humanities grant. So here's an overview of the major pieces of information. This grant is intended for general operating expenses, so it's really able to be used for almost anything the organization sees fit. Now, which expenditures, excuse me, are allowed and not allowed will be covered later on. But just keep in mind, this grant is truly our general operating expense grant. This grant is intended for nonprofit, predominantly youth-serving, humanities-based organizations, specifically those organizations that use the humanities as a tool to help youths aged 11 to 19 explore issues they identify as important and relevant to their lives. So that could be like an organization working to increase civic engagement among youths, improve critical thinking or writing skills, just for a few examples, and totally not an exhaustive list. Up to $25,000 can be awarded per grant, and this is a non-program grant. So just a little bit of information on what non-program means. It means it's either for general operating or capacity building. We only have 2 grants this year in 2023 that fall into that category. Youth in Humanities, this grant, in this cycle 1, and the aptly named Capacity Building Grant, which is in cycle 2, and that opens March 6th. On a program grant, on the other hand, that's more project-based. And so guiding a project or program to completion. All of the other grants outside of Youth and Humanities and Capacity Building, all the others that we offer this year are program grants. So mention it because you can apply for 1 non-program grant and 1 program grant per calendar year. So you can apply to up to 2 grants in a calendar year, just so that you're aware of that. So enough about that. On to the project period for this grant. That's May 1st, 2023 to March 1st, 2024. So you're aware of what a project period means. It's also known as a grant period in some of the literature and your documents that you'll see. It's a time frame during which you can spend funds and implement grant-funded activities. All funds must be spent by March 1st, 2024. Also, we plan to, sometime in the spring of 2024, have a gathering of grantees and your youth participants. So it's going to be a celebration of your collective work, and more details on that will be coming, just so that you're aware of that. And the full grant award will be issued at the beginning of the project period, so around May 1st, 2023. The application deadline is March 14th, 2023 at 5:59 p.m. Eastern. And just a note here, this grant program represents us renewing our commitment and support to youth-centered programming. We had a grant for a few years known as Soul of the City, which was youth-focused as well, but the similarities in there, because that grant was much more project-based. And this one is just general operating support. All right, so who's eligible for this grant? So like I briefly mentioned earlier, nonprofit organizations based in DC with a humanities focus in their mission and evident in their programming. You should be able to look at the listed humanities disciplines and see if you'll be able to fit in one or more. Just to note, these will also be available for you to select on the application itself. So those disciplines are there in those 3 bullet points. And fiscal sponsorships are not allowed for this grant, since it's only open to nonprofits. For folks with current capacity building grants, you must make sure that you submit all of your reports to Foundant, our grants portal, by February 12th, this Sunday at 5:59 p.m. That's 30 days before the March 14th application deadline. Okay, so what is specifically required of your organization for this grant? You need valid EIN and UEI numbers. I'm sure you're familiar with EIN, but if you're unfamiliar with UEI, it's the Unique Entity Identifier. It's rolled out by the federal government last April to replace DUNS. And so while you don't need one right now to apply, you needed to receive funding in May. You need a physical address located in DC. You need to document all grant expenditures. You'll be able to categorize expenditures according to the categories listed in our budget table, which is included in the application. Any changes to the scope of approved grant or budget must be sent to us in writing, can be via email. Scope refers to the core elements of the project. So if you're experiencing changes to the location or staff or materials available to implement the goals of your grant, you need to inform us. And we need to be notified of any changes of 25% or more to any budget category in the budget table. You'll need to submit an interim and a final report. Due dates are listed in the RFP. And finally, there are specific accessibility guidelines that must be adhered to as stipulated by the ADA. If your organization has 15 or more employees, and or if you use grant funds for a public event. So now for some required elements we're looking for within the application. We have an organization profile question where we ask you to describe your organization's connection to the humanities and to DC youth in particular. We have a description of activities question, which will help us understand how exactly you'll use grant funds to accomplish your strategic goals. This grant is to support your organization's work. So there are goals, of course, that you need to achieve, and we intend for this grant to help you achieve them. So here you can lay that out for us. We have a key personnel question, which will inform us as to who in your organization will ensure success in achieving your goals. Now, of course, what does success mean to you? And how will you keep track of that? That's what you'll describe for us in the measuring success question. And you'll be able to lay out, all the different measures that you account for in the course of regular work, as well as any measures, special measures you'll be able to implement, to ensure that we can track, is this grant actually helping you achieve your goals? And finally, we have a budget table and budget narrative section. So you'll be able to lay out your budget according to the categories set forth in the budget table and describe in detail what goes into each category in the budget narrative. So for grant costs, so what's allowed and what's not allowed, this grant, it goes towards general operating expenses, so we're fairly broad in terms of what can be allowed: so salary, consulting fees, rent, utilities, information technology. The grant cannot fund things like food and beverages, tuition and scholarships, debt reduction, regranting, and funding to government agencies. But again, that's pretty much the extent of what cannot be funded. This is a general operating expense grant. So really anything that can help achieve the goals set forth by your organization. Now, here are some strategies to consider when crafting a successful application. Break down the categories of the budget table into individual expenses on the budget narrative. Too many applicants fail to go into detail in this manner and just kind of copy the table into the narrative without accounting for what the expenditures go into the salary wages category, for instance. So they'll enter like 10,000 for salary and wages, and then the narrative just write 10,000 salary wages. So we already know it's 10,000 from the table, but we'd like to know how that 10,000 is broken down. So how many people go into that? How many hours do you expect them to serve? That's just an example of one category. You should still clearly state the goal or goals of your proposal and how it will be achieved. Make clear the benefit of your proposal and the benefit they'll have on DC residents, specifically youths. Anticipate and answer questions reviewers might have. So this goes back to clarity, making sure the goals are clear, the how you'll achieve them are clear, how the grant will help with that, and then how you measure success, tools you use to measure success. Tied to that is having someone unconnected to the proposal provide feedback to you before submitting it. Have a third party evaluate it for clarity and thoroughness. And finally, do not include letters of support from organizations or individuals not directly involved in the proposal. We've had that happen in the past, just people submitting dozens of letters of support, but we just need who is tied to that project. We could appreciate information from them. So applicant resources, you should know that I'm very much available, not just through email, but also through office hours. We have a link, a Calendly link on humanitiesdc.org in the grant application section, where you can register for office hours, so 30-minute one-on-one assistance calls. If you cannot find a time slot, you don't fret. You can just send me an email directly, and we can set up a time, for us to discuss your proposal, and you ask questions related to the application itself. If you have issues with Founded, so it's not just project related questions. You can just ask questions about Founded as well. Regarding Founded, we have an FAQ document we just put out there, just laying out the basic steps to accessing the application on Founded. So from creating your account, getting familiar with the website itself, being able to find applications, all of that is on our website as well. The RFP, of course, and a list of the application questions before you even access Founded. You can access that as well on our website. And finally, it's like I work back from the bottom to the front. We have recordings of the workshops, the overview workshops, as well as these grant specific workshops. We have the recordings and the PowerPoint slide decks posted on our website, and also will be shared to you directly. So here are the key links and contacts. Again, the website link, humanitiesdc.org/grant opportunities. And then the Founded link, the link to access the grants portal, so you can start your applications, is grantapplication.wdchumanities.org. And there is my email address, eYusuf with 2 S's. Don't forget the second S, at humanitiesdc.org. Now, before you apply, just remember these steps. If you answer yes to each one of these steps, you are eligible at the very least for this grant. This grant is a good fit for you. Are you a 501c3 nonprofit with a predominant humanities focus? Does your organization primarily serve DC youths aged 11 to 19? Are you seeking funding for general operating expenses? Do you have specific goals in mind that this grant will help achieve? Do you have the tools necessary to capture the impact? And will you have closed all of your previous Humanities DC grants? How to submit the application. So when you're ready to begin, go on to grantapplication.wdchumanities.org. Create a new profile for you and your organization if it's your first time applying. Again, the steps are laid out for you on an FAQ document on our website. So you go to the grant opportunities page and you'll be able to access the FAQ. And then you can click on apply when you're at the applicant dashboard. There'll be a list of grant opportunities available for you. You can select Youth and Humanities there. And of course, be sure to select the correct grant opportunity. All right, so now I will open the floor for Q&A, and not just Q&A, not just questions just tied to like the application or the project, but just feel free to share your ideas.
This is Erin. May I ask a question about the age focus of 11 to 19-year-olds, and if that is, a very set in stone sort of age range, or would younger students also fit in this grant opportunity?
Loie, I just based on my understanding, based on the language in the RFP, just going off of that, I believe it's fixed. So the predominant focus should be for youth age 11 to 19. Below, you can,
Yes, that's correct. I mean, if you're also serving younger youth, as Eli said, we'd want to know that the majority of your focus is on 11 to 19. Is that your situation, or are you only serving younger youth?
Thank you. Sometimes we are only serving 11 to 19-year-olds. For example, this year we're working with 2 schools, Burroughs Elementary. So they're the students are fifth graders, so they're 10 and 11 years old. And then we're also working with Eastern High School, so definitely within the age range. But we're taking in applications now for the schools that we'll work with next year. And I'm not sure which schools those will be in advance of the application deadline. So we will work with the schools who apply and decide and get back to them sometime in April. But it could be to elementary schools, and then we really leave it up to the school to select the students who work with us, usually a small group of students. Sorry if I'm going on for too long. So it's usually an after-school program. But sometimes we align really well with 3rd and 5th grade social studies standards and DCPS. So those are often the 2 grades that principals select to participate, but not always. So the 3rd graders would be a little young for this grant.
In terms of the mission of your organization, what does that say? What's your organization as a whole about?
Sure. We work with local school communities to help students and research their school and community history within the larger history of DC. We offer a 12-week curriculum that goes along with that. We teach students how to do oral history interviews of community members and help them find those people, and gather archives and artifacts. And then we put it all together for them in a museum quality permanent exhibit that we install in their school in the spring.
So going back to the beginning of what you said, so it's just, I think you said school age. So it's basically you just serve elementary, through high school probably.
Right. And it's up to any school can apply. And it just so happens that this year we're working with an elementary school and a high school. We've worked with primarily elementary schools, but we're a relatively new organization. So we've worked with a total of 8 schools, and out of those 8 have had only 1 middle school and 1 high school so far.
Okay. So, I mean, you definitely fit the range. It's just that you go beyond it. So I think if you ended up thinking that this was the right opportunity for you, are you able to talk about the focus of your organization being largely about this particular age group, even though it also goes below that? So I think just kind of thinking about what you're about.
Okay.
Making that determination.
That makes sense. Yes. And we love working with the 5th graders when we do have elementary school, but open to younger students too, of course. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Eli, I don't know if you saw, I just admitted an additional person.
Okay, let's see. Can you help me say your name? Kayanzami Johnson?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. It's Quintina Johnson, actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's just that I'm using someone else's Zoom, so it's coming across as that name. How are you today?
Doing great. We're just in the Q&A, sharing project ideas section of our presentation. And of course, we had folks share their name and their organizational affiliation or what they do earlier. So if you'd like to, take the time to share that, and also your project idea or question.
Well, actually, I been involved with the youth led intergenerational program, and we actually work with community-based education program. So I'm just here to see exactly whether or not it will be a fit as far as what you're going to be asking for the proposal. So I'm basically here gathering information to see whether or not it's a fit for what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. Which age range do you predominantly serve? This grant's
We
particularly
middle
for.
school, oh, okay. We started in 2011 initially. And so we work with students from, and we've actually received grants previously with Humanities Council when it was the Humanities Council, and then when it was Humanities DC a few years ago. But we work with middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college students in teams as far as the different actual community-based projects that we have been doing.
Great. Well, that fits when it comes to the age range predominantly served by this grant. Organizations that predominantly serve folks age 11 to 19, organizations that have a humanities focus, and yeah. So at least when it comes to that, your organization can fit within those parameters.
Okay, that's absolutely great.
It's a general operating expense grant, so really there's not many restrictions in terms of what you can use the money for. As long as there are specific goals that you can set, like achievable goals, there's some measures that you can track, so that we can
Oh,
clearly
that's absolutely wonderful.
A to B.
And
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Are we able to meet with you one-on-one as well to actually discuss what we're actually doing? Or is
Yeah.
it just a general meeting that we're having as a group that you're going to be offering until the deadline
No,
of
no,
the
no.
proposal?
You can obviously ask questions here, but if you want some time to go through the application, the RFP, all the materials on the website, then you can do that and then set up a meeting with me. There's a link on the Humanities DC website where you can register for office hours. And if you can't find a time that works for you, you can just email me directly and we can set something up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Christina, I would add that because it is general operating funds, the basic thing is, are you humanities focused, and do you serve youth in that age range? There's no specific, while we will want to know how you plan to use the funds, there's no specific program or project you have to come up with.
Right.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. We actually are humanities based. When we first started our project in 2011, the Humanities Council actually was the first, one of the first agencies that actually gave us the first grant to start up. And we focused on humanities-based approach when we looked at our students working on different projects that focused on history and the area, dealing with the communities that they came from, and actually creating now, when you look back at it, for the few, maybe 5, 6 years, time capsules. And so now they would be presenting as archives that the students actually created at that time frame, and the discussions that they were having as far as gentrification, the changing neighborhood, the dynamics of their community, and how they themselves would be history, actually, and they actually are now. So we were very grateful for the partnership that we had during that time period. And we were looking at how it would be a time capsule at that time for what the work was and what they were doing. And they did film, they did photography, they did an extensive research project that was community based for about 6 to 7 years.
Interesting.
And there's actually a film that you do have on your heritage site with one of the youth that actually embarked upon a project. So it's kind of going back and doing a retrospective now.
Do you know what's the title of the film? Do you know the title?
It would be I Saw DC.
I Saw DC. Okay.
Yeah.
What's your
And
organization?
then I Saw DC.
Oh, is that the name of your organization?
Yes, I Saw DC.
Okay. Okay, so
and then you would probably, yes, and yeah, so you'd probably look under I Saw DC Film.org, and that would be the youth that started it when he was, I think, he was a youth-led leader. So it was started at the age of 14. So when he was doing the retrospect, he was about 19 at the time, or 20. And so I saw dcfilm.org would actually show the actual footage that you actually have on your site now, which shows the last documentary project. And he was working with DC Office of Preservation with Yawo Mahmout, and was actually there looking at the uncovery of the artifacts there, and also looking at himself, maybe perhaps being a legacy in the future. So there, that was the theme again of a time capsule, and also uncovering what was there and how he worked with other youths previously those years to uncover more history. So part of that is on your website already, as far as that vignette of different images and snips of different the youths doing different things, and then the website I saw dcfilm.org has some of the things that were done visually. So we want to look at that retrospectively, because you were one of the beginning funders.
Mm-hmm. Very great to know. Thank you so much for this.
Okay, so I would look forward to talking to you about going further with this valuable program that you guys have offered through the years.
Thank you.
Kendall and Tracy, what are your thoughts? Does it seem like a fit for your organizations?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm clearly, we've are humanities based, but we really came around because we're working with youth workforce development. And first we were talking about the creative economy in terms of helping youth get involved with careers in the economy, creative economy, but then really focusing on catharsis humanities, using poetry especially, and dance and comedy even to reconcile one's environment, as particularly as a therapeutic vehicle, specifically working with youth who are victims of gun violence by proxy. So, I mean, the humanities, I'm a third generation Washingtonian, I'm a big proponent of the arts. Washington, DC is a beautiful humanities arts-based town. A lot of those resources, however, do not come to my part of the city. So I'm very intent on bringing fine arts and classical training and modern contemporary humanities, which is what a lot of young people really want to engage with. They want to engage with the contemporaneous expression of humanities. As also as a way to get involved in their creative economy here locally, which is what we're really trying to combine, these interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary intersectional areas with our work. So combining the workforce development with the humanities arts training, I see as a clear fit, because for years we've done work with SYEP. We're blessed to have the East Arts program from the Commission of Arts and Humanities, and currently doing programming with our year-round program from the OST office. So, this is the next step for us to really expand our ability to provide quality programming here east of the river.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
And
Kendall.
to the extent that you can share our different opportunities with other organizations east of the river, we'd really appreciate that. We're trying to be better and actually going out and dropping flyers in the area, but we love your assistance in getting the word out.
Anything I can do, absolutely, yes.
Anyone else would like to share a project idea or ideas, questions you may have about the terms of the grant application?
The one thing I don't think we explicitly mentioned, but it is in the RFP, that CAH gave general operating support grants. And so we're trying not to overlap with them. So if you have one from them for this year, then you wouldn't be eligible for this year for our general operating support grant.
Right. Yeah, I've gotten that question before.
This is Erin again. You mentioned an earlier deadline for the capacity building grant. Was that right? I didn't quite catch.
Yes, for the capacity building grant, if you have a current capacity building grant, so from 2022, and because that the reports for current capacity building grantees, they aren't officially due until March 2nd, but for eligibility for cycle 1, which this grant is a part of, you need to submit your reports, all of them, at least 30 days before March 14. So that would be February 12th. That's this Sunday. So essentially just making sure you submit that before the deadline, because to remain eligible for cycle 1 funding.
I think the key point is that's only relevant if you have a capacity building grant.
If you have the capacity building grant, exactly. If you.
I see. Thank you.
Mhm.
Eli, is it okay if we reach out to you on an individual basis for a one-on-one? Because I think, you know, a lot of this, you know, since it's very new for us, for some of us, and I just think it would help facilitate this kind of process going forward.
Oh, for sure. Oh, you can reach out to me again, either through Calendly or through email. If you can't find a time slot in Calendly, you can set that up, find a time slot, no matter what it is. We can make sure we can meet and then review your project idea, or just review questions relating to your application, trying to access Foundant. I'm sure you're already familiar with Foundant, so that may not be the issue for you. It's just going through the project ideas. That's, yeah. Totally.
Remember that there are no project ideas for this grant.
Oh, right. I keep saying I have project ideas, but you know, proposal.
Kendall and everyone else, Eli's great at having those conversations. I would encourage you to look at the list of application questions first, because one, you're going to find it is very simple because you're not talking about a program, but then also let you know what questions you might have for Eli if you've looked at them before. But he's great at kind of helping people figure things out.
Wonderful.
Yeah, not a project, it's just the proposal. Yeah, and that FAQ is really helpful. Covers a lot of common questions. So yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Mhm. Well, if no one else has any questions, we'd just like to thank you for taking the time to share a little bit of your evening with us, and at least listen to what we had to go through when it comes to the grant application requirements, the grant program itself, all these details pertaining to the Youth and Humanities grant. Thank you for sharing your evening and listening to us go through it. And again, you can reach us anytime in terms of setting up office hours, asking me questions. Definitely available. And I look forward to your questions. And we have
Hi, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I have one question. Will you be sending a PowerPoint?
Yes. Yes, we'll be sending this PowerPoint.
Okay, and I'm also going to sign up for the next session since I did arrive late. I apologize. So I appreciate
No problem. Did you register on Eventbrite? Because we can then send it through that email address.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I'll find your name there and we'll send it.
It would not be Kari Yanzami, it would be Quintina Johnson though. So thank you.
I got you. Yeah, we'll be sending this PowerPoint deck.
I'm sorry, before we go, I did want to ask one question. It was around the age qualifications. And since we're dealing with SOAR deals with young women who are aging out of foster care, those young women can be from the ages of 16 to 26. And we try to encompass everyone in our workshops, and just wonder if that kind of cancels us out because we go beyond the 19-year age limit, mostly because a lot of grants and organizations that are helping young women in this demographic have a cutoff at 24 or 25. So we're just trying to be as inclusive as possible, although the majority of the young women are in the teen age range.
So that's what's important, that you're able to talk about, although you have, your range might go beyond our upper limit, that the majority of the women, young women that you serve are within that range. So you just want to talk about that in your proposal.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Kendall. Thank you again. Thank you to everyone who's able to come out. We appreciate your time, and please reach out if you have any further questions. Set up a call with me. We are here for you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have
Eli
a great-
wait.
Oh, sorry. You have a great night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good night.